Hi, Cancer, and welcome to this month's July 2022 Cancer Astrological Insights. Believe it or not, until I went to edit and upload these files, I did not realize I had neglected to even do the Cancer chart. But I have a feeling that that is kind of how you feel, as if you're being overlooked. Women especially may feel like they're overlooked and they're not taken seriously, or as if they're important. But that energy is extremely important, as the chart will demonstrate. So the sun is in Cancer right now, and when the sun is in Cancer, it means that Capricorn is in the opposite sign. Well, the Capricorn is always in the opposite sign, but Cancer in the first house means that Capricorn is in the opposite house, the seventh house. And you've had Pluto here for since 2008, so 14 years. As stuff came through your sign, it faced off with Pluto, and that's going to happen this month. The Sun and Mercury are both going to make oppositions to Pluto. And so in this monthly description, I'll try to give you some idea as to insights that are going to happen over the month. So first of all, on July 5th, Mercury is going to move into Cancer. So come from the 12th house, back there where you're not being noticed, come from the 12th house out into the first house. Now, the sun being in your sign should have brought you some sort of a light was being shown on feminine energy, or the idea of nurturing and carrying energy. And now Mercury is going to come in and give that a voice, which is super nice after the last several weeks. Eventually, later in the month, on the 17th, Venus will also come into Cancer, and Venus and Cancer get along well. Venus has a lot in common with the moon, the ruler of Cancer. And the full moon is going to happen on the 10th. So the moon is right here, right now, in the second house, and it's going to come around the chart this way in a counterclockwise movement, and it's going to come right here to 2121. The sun will do the same thing. It will come down to 2121, Cancer and Capricorn, and when that happens, it'll be the full moon, the sun opposite the moon. And by then, the Mercury will be in here, and so we already have this idea of Mercury giving a voice to some of the feelings that you have. But now we have this intense full moon that I have said in other situations is going to be similar to, because it's taking such because it's taking place so close to Pluto, it's going to be similar to like a partial eclipse. It's going to be a little more powerful than just a regular full moon. So we want to pay attention to the fact that the full moon is happening in your opposite sign, Cancer, over here in your one-to-one relationship house. Full moons in our one-to-one relationship house, and especially this one, tend to bring relationship issues out to the fore for people to address or notice or integrate, discuss, all of those things. And after that full moon later in the month, you're going to have the Mercury opposite Pluto here, and that will happen, let's see, let me find that little cheat sheet I have. Oh, that is not until August. Oh, Mercury opposite Pluto. Let's see. I mentioned Mercury opposite Pluto because it is such it is going to be such an intense alignment. Now, this has happened every year since 2008. Mercury moves fast; it goes around the chart in about a year, just like the sun. And so on the 18th, Mercury is going to be in opposition with Pluto. And to look for some of those relationship discussions to come up around mid-month and later into the months, because on the 20th then the Sun is going to oppose Pluto. So what's going to happen is Mercury is going to come into Cancer. It is going to pass because it's moving very quickly through Cancer. It only stays in Cancer about 13 days. And it's moving very quickly through Cancer. It's on a mission, communication mission. It wants to spread the word for some reason. And once it passes the Sun, it will oppose Pluto and make other alignments as well around the chart. And then the Sun is going to come up and oppose Pluto, which again happens every year. So this is not energy that you've not had to deal with before. It's happened every year since 2008. So you have that should give you a hint or a clue as to what this this process is about, or this internal working out. The first house is your identity, and there are several things here that lead me to believe that you are creating a new identity for yourself. First is this I am house here, the first house. And second is your public identity up here. You also have the South Node in your house of creative expression or creative identity. So all the houses around your chart that are associated with identity are having significant alignments in them. The node in the 5th house means that it is something that you should be able to fall back on that energy. And if you'll notice, there's a grand trine here, which lets me know that the energy is flowing all around your chart. And the houses of identity are different ways of expressing who we are. This I am is how people see us externally when they're first meeting us. You know, it's not our career, it's not our public reputation, but just how we present to them, the energy that is presented to them. And Cancer finds you as a nurturing, caring, whether you're male or female, nurturing and caring person. Somebody who tends to care what others need, emotionally support others. And Capricorn is the stoic, limit setting, boundary setting, but foundation growing sign. And so those two signs are opposite each other. So realism and nurturing and realism, they speak to each other in ways, because you still need to be productive even while you're caring for others or nurturing others. There needs to be some end goal, some ambition, something to reach for. And that's what Capricorn represents, what you're reaching for out there. So the full moon is taking place here. The opposition from the Sun to Pluto is taking place here. And so is the Mercury opposition to Pluto taking place here. So you can guess that your personal relationships, and not just intimate, it could be business partners, but your personal relationships and your relationship to who you are in an opposition with each other. And that doesn't mean it's negative. You don't have to choose either or. There's a blending that can take place. And as I said, you've done this multiple times since 2008. Your partnerships have been transforming. How you do partnerships have been transforming. Your relationships have changed in ways that you may not even recognize yet. But you're going to get some information as the Sun and the Moon, Sun, and Mercury oppose Pluto. You're going to get some information, and you're going to be able to use that information to help you to adjust to the transformation that's taking place over here. Now I talk about your relationships transforming. but the transformation is taking place more internally for you than it is that your relationships are changing. So, a lot of people say, well, my relationship changed, and they neglect to notice that it might have been them that changed, and that changed within the relationship, and therefore the relationship needed to change. So, or how they did relationships needed to change. You'll find this with a lot of people that have grown past, or when you initially get with someone, you're in one state of awareness, and then you become in a different state of awareness as time goes on. That can be positive or negative states of awareness. Just things change. You have Jupiter, Mars, and Chiron here in the 10th house, and this kind of speaks to, I'm not going to get strongly political, but Mars in this house up here of the public domain, the 10th house, your public reputation, your career, that sort of thing, but it represents the outside world. With Mars here, I think you probably felt as if you were a little bit under assault. Jupiter has expanded the energy of Mars in Aries. Mars rules Aries, and so normally Mars is certainly assertive in that area, and for you it might have been you being assertive. You are addressing something out in the outer world, and you're asserting your authority or your will, but with the Roe versus Wade decision and those sorts of things, it's possible that you feel like the world is assaulting you and you are having to fight back. So remember, your chart is about you. And so circumstances and situations that happen in the outer world are pushing certain buttons within you. I saw a t-shirt yesterday that said, matter is minimum. So they were referring to Black Lives Matter, and that mattering should be the minimum. So a lot of things have suddenly come to the fore for things to matter to us. And so in this setup in the 10th house here has been a very dramatic. This has not been the typical Mars run. With Jupiter in Aries, things have seemed to become bigger than life and be huge, when, as if the world has suddenly changed in such a way that it's even hard to comprehend. And it is true. The decision on Roe versus Wade, it turns out, affects a lot of people, a lot of resources, a lot of society as a whole. And women feel especially upset by this. Not all women, but the majority of women feel upset by the lack of ability to make their own choice. But men are also going to find that they have a problem with this, because it also changes their lives. We're stronger now. We hold men more responsible for their actions. And so when these children are born to parents, and it's not just the female that might want to end a pregnancy, the male might want to end the pregnancy. It's not just females that are affected by this change. And I believe there are a lot of men out there that care, and that would rather that it have not have happened. But we became complacent, and we allowed a rule. We never changed a ruling by the Supreme Court into a law that would have to be challenged and argued to overturn or to change. So that has been a big topic of the last couple of weeks, and thank goodness, maybe not, but thank goodness, we are going to get a little bit of relief from that, because Mars is going to move into Taurus, which will put him at a sextile to Venus, Cancer. and Mercury is going to move into Cancer. So we're going to get a little bit of relief from that. Now, early in the month, next month, August 1st, and we will feel it in July, Mars is going to be making a conjunction to Uranus here in your 11th house of social groups, social networking. And Uranus has been here for a while too. And these long-term planets tend to have long-term effects. Pluto in your opposite sign, and Uranus in your 11th house, and Neptune here in the 10th house. I'm sorry, 9th house. And so these long range or long term planets, the planets that move slowly, it takes Uranus 84 years to go around the chart, Neptune 165, and Pluto. And we have not had these placements in our lifetime, unless you're like my Cancer friend who's turning 100 and she's had these placements before. Not the Pluto, but certainly Uranus, and not Neptune. So this is unique to all of us. We're also in the middle of the Pluto return, and that is going to be exact on July 11th for the U.S. Sibley chart. But you have a significant amount changing this month, and it seems as if it's the outer world changes that are going to affect you the most. The first house is, as it represents an individual, the 10th house represents the outer world, and this square is where the outer world and the individual meet. And when that happens, we need to find a creative way of integrating the inner and outer world so that we can function properly. So, with those changes, Mercury changing into Cancer there for about 13 days, Mercury is going to move on into Leo, and that'll be fun. Leo is generous, gregarious, showy. We're going to feel a lot different when Mercury gets through Cancer and into Leo. One of the gifts you have is your ability to share personal resources. Leo loves to share, and they are very generous, so you are generous with your personal resources. And Mercury is going to give you some ideas about how to voice the confidence, the self-esteem, the gifts and talents that you have, to use all of those things, but also to voice your values, to give voice to your values. And since your one-to-one relationships have been transforming, that's a sign that your values have shifted, your values have changed. And they may not have changed, you may have just become more aware of what your actual values are, because we adopt other people's values when we're being influenced when we're younger and that sort of thing, and then we grow up and we decide, oh no, that's not my value, that belonged to grandma. So you need a voice for these things to be able to be shared with other people, and so Mercury is going to give you some ideas about how to do that. It is also necessary that that value system match your public persona, your public identity. As Mercury moves through Leo, he's going to make alignments to Chiron and to Jupiter. And it's okay. People don't realize it, but it's okay. Well, I did think this then, but now, I'm more aware of this, that, or the other. And now I know my value is more in alignment with this. And so it's okay to do that. It's okay to actually think about your values and allow them to shift to be more representative of who you are. So with the shift of Mercury through Cancer and the opposition with Pluto, Mercury will move into Leo. And just the day before Mercury moves into Leo, Venus is going to move into Cancer, which will eventually also oppose Pluto. So your relationships at that time will certainly be more relevant to your astrology. However, Venus has a diplomatic quality about her, and she gives the idea out that she can, she's capable of being diplomatic with what she is attempting. And so when Venus comes across your first house into Cancer, you're going to feel a little bit stronger about what you're trying to, a little bit more reassured, I guess I should say, self-assured of what you're going for and what you're trying to do. By the 18th, Chiron will be retrograde and joining Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune in retrograde motion. And by the 28th, Jupiter will be retrograde up here in the 10th house. So for you, that means that these, the outer world is going to seem to slow down a little bit. And that's good because, you know, that is when you're going to have this activity in your first and second house. And it's going to move out from the 12th. So I didn't feel so bad once I saw your chart and saw this energy back here in the background, because the 12th house kind of happens back here. We're not necessarily aware of it. I didn't feel so bad since your astrology points out that there's a lot going on deeper. And even though the sun is in your sign, you're not fully able to express everything. You're kind of taking I would say a intellectual and sabbatical in your own mind, trying to think through and rationalize or understand and balance what has happened over the last few weeks. So I hope you don't mind. This probably ended up being a better recording because I gave myself a night's rest before I realized this wasn't happening, or had not happened. So the full moon, Mercury and Venus coming through your house of identity, are certainly going to give you a busy month. Thank you, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down underneath the video in the comment section. If you would rather have a more personal answer to your question, you can certainly email me. You can find my email and contact information on the website soulofchiron.com. If you'd like to schedule a personal reading, that's also where you would schedule a personal reading. So again, it's a busy month for you, Cancer. I hope you enjoy your birthday month, and happy birthday to everyone that has a Cancer sun.